in the air. Think I'll drop my anchor in that harbour over there. Lovely ladies, smell 'em through the smoke. 7 days at sea can make you hungry for a poke. Lovely ladies, waiting for the boat.
Hello, lovely Arternoon tea people, quiches. How are you guys? Good.
And
Awesome.
and welcome back, and we are
Arternoon tea, where our tagline is the nicher of the nicher niche. We like quiche.
We actually have quiche.
We have quiche today,
Quiche
broccoli and Stilton.
and we're gonna eat it this time.
We're gonna eat it.
We're gonna eat the quiche.
Absolutely.
Gonna eat it out. Oh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry.
Oh, obviously, we're talking about prostitution.
Exactly.
Okay, no.
But before we dive into that very, very tasty topic, we are shooting this episode back to back
back to back.
with the episode.
Yeah.
So we actually don't really have a weekly recap, but we can project.
Yeah. So we'll be like fortune tellers right now and probably assume just how our week 12 is going to be.
So, Yemi, how has your past week been?
Well, my past week has been great but very tiring because it's week 12, so everybody's leaving now. It's last week. I had my crit. I'm going to have my crit. I had my crit. And so I honestly hope that is going to go well because I'm putting loads of effort in this film. And I probably hope that I'll have all my essay plans done, at least, so that Christmas can be a breeze. Alice, how has your week been?
It's from...
I relate. I feel you, Ring. I feel you. Oh my god. How about we ask our producer, Daria, how has your week been? Deadlines! So, yeah.
It's going great, guys.
Yeah.
Deadlines!
She's loving it.
Can we please talk about prostitutes now?
Okay, so if you didn't gather, Alice is very eager to talk about this project. Actually, we are all very eager to talk about this project.
Don't put this on me. You were the one who were most
Shush.
excited about
Okay,
this.
I am the most excited.
I'm excited too.
Daria's very excited too because we, or at least I, have a fascination for this thing. Not that we're actually gonna get into the institution. We're not interested.
The institution.
We're not interested to get in that profession. But I am deeply fascinated with prostitutes and prostitutions.
The first profession.
The first profession, the world's first job.
Allegedly.
Well, I mean, logically, it is prostitution. And I cannot explain why I'm interested in why I'm absolutely fascinated with this subject. But everything that has to do with representation of prostitution is something that I absolutely adore. It fascinates me. It creeps me out and just catches my attention.
Yeah, because there's this like weird duality of
Exactly.
like, is it empowerment or is it like demeaning, or is it, you know, if the ladies are like, they chose to do this as a service,
Exactly.
as any
Because
other service.
Then you're like, it's sort of a primal need,
Yeah.
but then it's obviously used and usurped and all of that stuff. So you're just like, ugh.
And what's the difference between a sex worker selling their body compared to a singer selling their voice? Because technically, you know,
You're still
providing a service. You're still providing
a
service.
service. That's the thing.
Yeah. So, but then it can be exploitative and everything. But at the same time, it can also be empowering. If, like, you know, there are people who consciously choose to go into this profession, and they love it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of sex workers don't really like the idea of their job being portrayed as a seedy, terrible thing, even though there are seedy, terrible things,
of course,
to do with it.
But then that comes in any sector of any business. Everybody knows what happens within the film industry. Everybody knows what happens within the music industry. Business, everything that's economics, we know what happens.
Politics.
There is this duality. It's something that we can't escape from, unfortunately.
And we thought that'd be interesting to examine this duality by boiling it down to 2 case studies.
Compare and contrast.
Of see how the art world portray this duality. We decided to focus on 2 paintings. One which we feel is empowering of the sex worker, and the other is not so very much.
The shady side of the sex industry.
But that's not to say that the artist like demean but it's like the portrayal of like slightly...
It is a portrayal, it is a point of view, it is a representation.
Yeah. So, to start us out, everyone who knows me, and you know me, and Darren knows me, and everyone who knows me knows that I have an obsession with the Pre-Raphaelites.
Yes.
The Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood. It's just my jam. It's so good.
How about you quickly just...
The Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood started in the mid to late 1800s. And it's these 3 friends who got together, and they were looking at the contemporary art world of that time. They were not liking it very much because, you know, things were a bit dull. They wanted to bring things back to how things were before Raphael, bring back the classical, bring back elements of allegory and medieval storytelling, and focusing on, you know, aesthetic is not a bad thing. Not everything has to have like a super terribly deep meaning, but if it does, then it's nice to express it through symbols, through storytelling, through expression.
So very stylized,
very stylized, and the focus on narrative is very, very strong. And the 3 main members, the 3 founding members of the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood was Millay, John Everett Millay, I believe. He's the one who's probably most well known because he did the famous painting of Ophelia under the brook where she's floating along. I'm sure everyone have seen that painting at one point. And if you're an art student, you probably had done a photo shoot of that painting at one point. He's also like the most commercial. He almost like following in the steps of Dürer of commercializing art, like bringing art and commercial and the world of commerce together. That's Millet. And then there's my man, Dante Gabriel Rossetti, who is an all-round bad boy, just just like swinging. No, he's he's the stereotype of every artist ever. Where it's like, yeah, I don't feel inspired today. I'm gonna hit the cafe. Come back to my studio and I'll paint you. He's that guy. But there's something about
the artist.
Something about his art that's just, yes, that is my jam. The way that he composed an image, the way that he frames everything out, the compositions, the colors.
It's just great.
It's just my thing. And also his real life, so many stories. One day we'll get to it. It's just the most amazingly hilarious life. And he was played by there was a TV series made of the Pre-Raphaelites.
Okay.
And he was played by the Paul Dark Man.
Aidan
Turner.
Oh!
Yeah, Aidan Turner played Dante Gabriel Rossetti.
Damn.
Yeah. But the man whose painting we're going to talk about today is William Holman Hunt, who is one half of his life is an artist and the other one's a boxer. Because he's got anger issues, this man.
Because why the hell not?
Because Holman Hunt's got anger issues. And but he is probably of all, between all 3 of them, in terms of like technical like drawing skills, Rossetti is probably like the last of the 3. Technically, he wasn't that fantastic in terms of drawing and things like that. And Holman Hunt would like draw circles around the both of them. But and he's the first person in just quick technical attention. He's the first person. Before, when you paint a scene, an artist would go out and paint the background and leave space for the characters, and then they'll go back to their studio and paint the character in. Holman Hunt was the first person recorded to decide to put the model in the scene and paint it all at the same time.
So do a real life tableau and then paint it.
But obviously, that takes a toll on. That's things more difficult for him. That makes things more difficult for the model because you have to like stand the scene in all fire in like this. If you're like doing an outside scene and you want to light this a particular way, you have to stand there and wait for ages. All that. But it gives into a lot of quite striking images and very recognizable. I don't know if it's just me or if I see a Pre-Raphaelite painting, I can instantly recognize it. And you see a William Holman Hunt painting, you immediately go, yeah, I can see. It's immediately recognizable.
And people are awkward, as in like...
Not really. It's just the way he paints them. There's just something about it, and the way he composes it. Something you look at.
You're like,
that's a Holman Hunt. Okay. Probably like the colors. He used a lot of very garish colors that I don't normally like.
Okay.
But something that the way he brings it together, it's like it's so wrong, but it's right. I think.
Yeah, I feel you.
Which brings me to the painting that we're talking about today.
We are talking about...
In 1853, the painting Awakening Conscience.
Awakening Conscience, a very poetic title, might I say.
And this is where we'll insert image.
Insert image.
It's very curious because it was painted as a companion piece to The Light of the World, which was a Jesus painting. I'll show Yemi very quickly.
Okay.
The Light of the World. It was a companion piece to this painting.
That's weird.
It's very strange, isn't it?
Jesus painting.
And the idea is, so what Hunt was inspired by was when he did the light painting, the Jesus painting.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, this is the heavenly light, and he wants to do a painting of the material world, and someone seeking out that eternal light that the Lord was holding. And when I first showed you this painting, you remember what your first impression was?
Yeah.
Go on, tell the class.
Well, I looked at the painting and I saw that the poor woman was so goddamn uncomfortable. I was just like, the entire painting just makes you uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. You genuinely feel like, ugh. You feel icky. You feel like really restrained. You feel caged. You feel like, ugh. You just look at her and you're just like, bless your soul.
Yeah.
Bless your soul. And then I'll tell you the specific bit that really freaked me out after we talking.
So, in typical Hunt style, he decided to, in typical Pre-Raphaelite style, the painting is chock full of symbolism, even down to the setting of image, because to us now it just looks like a normal room, but it's one of those things where contemporaries, people of that time, will look at that painting, will immediately...
And they will read,
they will also immediately notice the way the room is furnished. It's way too gaudy for a Victorian.
Okay.
Like, Victorians will immediately notice, and they will immediately go, yeah, I know what kind of room that is.
Oh, I know what happens down there.
And, per information from the Tate, which is where the painting is held, Tate Britain, when he painted a room, because he likes to have the setting and the model, he hired a room at Woodbine Villa, 7 Alpha Place, St. John's Wood.
If you guys want to go, if you guys want to check it out, if you want to let all your inhibitions out, go ahead.
And it's well known to be a Mason de Convenance. Convenance?
Okay. So like Masons, as in, is it the order? Is it the Masons order?
No. Like, I'm not sure. I think it's French. I don't know. But what that word means is it is an apartment that gentlemen would specifically furnished so that gentlemen can take their mistresses to.
Cheeky bastards.
Yeah, so that's why everything's really gaudy, everything's really like flashy and almost vulgar. And so he rented out one of those and he furnished it, but there are lots of symbolism in it. And when I first saw the image, the first thing that struck me was because the way the image is also in an arch frame. And she looks like a little trapped cage bird.
She does.
Trying to get out.
She does.
Yeah.
She's not okay.
Yeah. And you were talking about specifically, what struck you when you first saw it?
Her eyes. Like if you look at her eyes and if you stay glued to her eyes.
Yeah.
For at least a minute. A minute is fine. You just, oh my god. You just feel everything that's going on in her head. You know what the hell's going on in her head.
Yeah.
It's just horrible.
One of the reviews at the time of the painting is specifically to do with her expression.
Okay.
One of the reviews of it is, to those who have an affinity for it, it's painful. To those who have not, it's repulsive.
Exactly.
And it's also very subtle because when you look at the image, she's fully clothed.
Yeah, exactly.
Head to toes, fully clothed. But
technically there's nothing scandalous
No.
happening in there.
No.
Obviously there's that position of she's kind of on the dude's lap, but they're fully clothed. There's nothing, there's no skin showing.
It's all just the subtleties. And
Exactly.
when we talk about symbolism, there are lots of little nuggets in the paintings.
Absolutely.
That there is a cat playing with a bird under the table.
Oh.
Yeah, and the position. First thing you notice is the way his arm is possessively holding on to her, like physically holding her back, like, oh, where you going? You're supposed to be here.
There is definitely tension, like even in the muscles, because you see like it's perfectly arched, like the way.
Yeah. And how we know that she is a prostitute, because apart from the detail that she is in a mistress room, is the cast-off glove, which indicates that she is a fallen woman.
Oh.
So it's those little details that
damn,
Victorian would
the
immediately pick
precision.
up. A Victorian would immediately pick up, like if you see a leopard print shoe, you know this painting is about Theresa May. It's those kind of like visual cues that they would pick up immediately. And the hem of the girl's dress is also very tattered, and you know that she's been through a bit. And her expression, it's when you first see it, it looks like a pain expression, but when what Hunt intended originally was to paint her as if she's just she just had an epiphany, and she suddenly saw the light of the Lord.
What the hell am I doing?
Yeah, she just saw the light of the Lord, and she was just veering towards it. So you just think, oh, there's like a little light at the end of the tunnel. But it's that very, very haunting expression.
Is there?
Yeah. And there was another review that says, like, no one could have like conveyed a more pained expression if they tried. Is like you look at it, you're like,
I think I'd agree. Yeah, I'd agree with that, because oh my god.
Yeah, and the idea of like the frame, it looks like a bit of like a bird cage. She's trying to break through. There is a bird cage in the image. Just all those fine little details. The tapestry on the wall is half finished, and also discarded on the floor are unfinished notes of a song by Edward Lear called Tears, something about fall, tears fall, or something like that. So it's chock full of those things, and I love images like that, where you can just want to look at it and want to read and read and read and read and read. And it's not obvious, it's not in your face, this is a painting about prostitute and she is sad. No, you get the feeling first, you get the emotions first,
and then you read into it.
Yeah, and then
you
you explore that
emotion.
emotion.
That's what it's about. Oh my god.
Yeah. So we brought this up as a painting of, obviously Holman wasn't trying to demean the profession of sex workers, but he was trying to show the more emotional, not even the explicitly darker side of it, but the more emotional
psychology of it. Let's
say. The sad, emotional, exploitative side of it. The way the man was holding on to her possessively.
Great.
It's a painting that will get you thinking and thinking and thinking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like it haunted me, man. Just like when we talked about it after when I got home, I was like,
I feel dirty.
Ew.
I feel dirty.
Yeah. But yeah, since let's say that is a more stereotypical, more general view on what prostitution is, because the second that you talk about prostitution, the first thing that pops into, let's say, the general audience is how exploitative it is, how tragic it is, how terrible it is.
So yes, it portrays all the typical emotions and psychology that you would normally associate with,
and that are extremely negative.
Yeah, but it doesn't portray it in a very typical way.
Yeah.
There's nothing explicit, no crush, no like physically abuse. It's all like they look perfectly respectable.
They do.
Completely dressed, everything. It's all in the symbolism. It's all in the emotions and the psychology. Nothing explicit, which is what I love about it.
Exactly. So now, let's go to the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And talk about a painting that surprisingly, very surprisingly, empowers the role of the sex worker, of the prostitute. And it is Manet's beautiful Olympia, which he painted in 1863. And let's talk. Basically, this painting is the complete opposite of what we saw first. The model is completely naked.
She is on show.
She is just displaying herself, and she's naked. She's looking directly at the camera, but that's
Camera.
Sorry, she is though. Technically,
She broke the fourth wall.
Okay. It's a typical painting, as in it's like a rectangle. There's, it's technically nothing new that you have seen. We have seen loads of naked women in art, even before Manet's time. Obviously, you think about Venus. You think about any pretty.
And the painting very specifically calls back to the compositions of paintings of Venus and Aphrodite and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. But in this painting, our lovely Olympia, so our main subject, you can definitely see that she is fully empowered. Once she looks directly at you, when you look at the thing, you're locking eyes with her.
Yeah.
And you know that it's a gaze of power.
Yeah.
She knows exactly what's going on. Another little detail is that her hand is on her sex.
Yeah.
And which kind of symbolizes the fact that she is holding it. Like, she is the one in charge of what's going on down there. As in, like, she chooses whether to take the hand off or put the hand on it.
Yeah.
So there's no... She's not restrained in any way. She's just, like, lounging.
Yeah.
Painting... asking Manet to paint her like one of her French girls.
Exactly. and it's the eyes, which is one of the major indicator that she is a sex worker, as opposed to... Because the composition is very Venus.
Yeah.
But in all, if you note all the classical Renaissance
They
Venus,
look away.
they're
Shy
in the scene.
away.
They're in the scene. This is a painting
Exactly.
of the scene.
Exactly.
They never, like, the audience is not there. The audience is, like, voyeuristically looking into the scene that is happening. But no, the audience, she makes the audience a part
Exactly.
of this experience.
Just like, hey, look.
No.
Look.
You need
You,
eyes.
me. Look.
Here. Not, oh no, you're not peeking behind the curtains over the woods. You're not creeping behind the bushes. No, you are gonna look here. We're having this right now. Right now.
And then, not to say that it glorifies prostitution, but it does elevate, and like, it elevates it into a new status, because also, if you look at the setting, it's not a raggedy place.
Oh no, it's lush.
No, it's lavish. You obviously, you're pretty sure that this woman is a high level prostitute. She's a
And she's got a servant.
She has a servant, yes, which she is really discarded. Like, all in our history, when you talk about all the essays that were written about Olympia, the mammy that's right in the back has been discarded from every goddamn essay.
Really?
Yeah, it's only in probably, I'm gonna say, in the 50s or something like that, that people are starting to take a consideration.
Do people just go, okay, let's not discuss that bit? It's like, okay, elephant in the room,
Exactly.
but let's not.
Exactly. I mean, this representation of the African maid, it was a very typical scene within the prostitution world in France. Because if you think about it, so slavery in France has been a really dodgy thing, as in, it was abolished in 1804, but then Napoleon, it was abolished in 1802,
Right.
and then Napoleon went like, no, no, I kind of like slavery, and Josephine, my girl, really likes her African maid, so I'm gonna just reinstore slavery again. And then in the
reinstall,
like these
install,
sorry.
Bring it back to the store.
Oh God.
Oh, that's a can of worms.
And so slavery started again, and then in 1848 it stopped again. So you have the end of slavery, but since it's really fresh, the house Negro was still a very real reality, as in, and the only jobs that they could find were either as proper maids, so they were
domestic servants,
or whorehouse maids.
Mm-hmm. Where they're like, oh, it's the exotic.
Exactly, it's the little exotic things, and you know, if we're going to make this lavish, let's go 100%, and let's add an African maid. Exotic. And as you can see, also this maid holds a huge bouquet, and supposedly it's probably one of Olympia's clients.
Yeah.
And if you look at the size of the bouquet, it is massive. It's a beautiful composition. It's not just like a little rose.
A little chase rose. Like,
no, that shit must have cost loads at the time. So you do
fresh flowers at the time was not a cheap thing.
Exactly. So you do see that this profession was really cured. It was just like that really really cared for, you know? Just like, and then obviously, as all the people back then, they had like loads of little symbols. I mean, you look at it, we look at it now, we may not think it's a prostitute. We just may think that she's a rich woman that likes to show herself.
Oh, not to mention the choker.
Exactly, but back then, there were so many symbols. Like, the second that people saw it, they were like, oh, scandale, it is a prostitute. And so they
Get this out of my gallery. Do not leave it near the pastry. You cannot leave baguettes near this.
No.
Because the women would just go into hysteria.
Oh my god, they saw this, and they said no. No. This is scandalous. Scandalous, we cannot have this painting.
Out. Her and her maid and the black pussy out.
Exactly.
Out.
So obviously you have the choker, which was the symbol of the French prostitute back then.
And Spice Girl in the 90s.
And then Spice Girls brought it back in the 90s. If you want to be mad. Then, obviously, the very name of the painting, Olympia. Olympe was a very famous prostitute name back in the time, apparently. As in, if a woman was called Olympe, everybody would go like,
oh.
Is you a lovely lady?
I you're a lady of the night. I've just noticed as well, as we were talking, that my choker actually fell into my bra.
Ooh. The choker has a life of its own.
Go on.
Then another detail that you really have to stare at the painting for a very long time, because there are really dark colors in the back. Mm-hmm. It's a little cat. You have a black kitty.
Who's furious.
Who is, he's rowdy.
Furious.
He's like, he's just like, his tail is up, all his fur is up. He's just like, not okay. He's not having it.
And when they did laser testing on it, they found that the cat was painted in as an afterthought. So you can imagine Manet did those like paintings and he's so happy with himself.
He's like,
then he went to bed and he was like,
oh my god.
Eureka.
A kitty.
Black kitty.
A black kitty, which obviously Le Chat Noir was definitely associated to prostitution. It was a very fancy club back in the days, and prostitutes were just raging in that place. And so you do have that little symbolism kind of thing. It was his early work, so it still is realist. It's still his realist branch of work. It doesn't fully go into Impressionism just yet.
Manet never went full Impressionist, though.
He was pioneering it.
He was pioneering. I know, like, he's been credited, like, at the beginning of the Impressionist, but I never felt like Manet's work went full Impressionist, you know what I mean?
No, because
it wasn't like it wasn't Monet Expressionist.
No.
It wasn't,
absolutely not.
It wasn't Seurat.
No.
So, like, even though he does, like, start off the Impressionist movement, I don't feel like he ever went full Impressionist.
No, but you can say that about... Ooh, I'm not talking about art now. I'm talking about art.
Go on.
It's over here. Wait, let me think. Yeah. So you have Balzac, for example. Mm-hmm. He is considered as the father of realism.
Yeah.
But, when you read his books, there is still a little bit of romanticism in it. Mm-hmm. So you're just like, oh, okay, I see your point, but it's, oh my god, the emotions, you're just like moping so much. Yeah. And then obviously you have Maupassant that came through, and then he fully established the realist. So I would still consider him as a father, as in like a father figure, maybe grandpa. let's say grandpa. He's grandpa of the Impressionist movement.
One thing I would say about Manet that's definitely Impressionist, though, was that he always painted contemporary scenes.
Absolutely.
Which is the exact opposite of Pre-Raphaelites, who, conjures stories, pull on stories of allegories, or conjure stories of their own. But, it's very rare that it's... Weirdly, like, this painting is a contemporary scene.
It is.
Which is an unusual motif for the Pre-Raphaelites.
Okay.
So, both of these paintings were paintings of the contemporary scene. So, yeah.
Very funny.
Mm-hmm.
Really
very impressionist of him.
Oh!
How very impressionist of you.
But funny thing though, the African maid.
Yeah.
She's not the first time that she appeared in one of Manet's
paintings.
Not. The one in what he's basically painted this park scene in the Tuileries.
Yes.
Yeah, her. It's her, and basically
it's her,
and then she basically became super buddies with Manet, and so she was a very freaking model.
Oh, that's a bit like Andrew Wyeth when he did that. He had a series that he painted black subjects.
Okay.
Which is lesser known of Wyeth. When you think of Wyeth, you think of the sceneries, and you think of Christina's World and stuff. But very few people know that Wyeth did he did a series of African American subjects, and it was amazing. Slight tangent on if you want to check out the series, it is an amazing series.
Yeah. But so to go back to my boy Édouard. So this painting definitely shows a more confident side of the entire sex worker profession, as in they are women that most obviously decided to go into this job and are enjoying it and are taking all the good side of it, because at the end of the day they are satisfying a human need, and it makes them feel empowered. Maybe just being the object, being the gaze's object, and then gaze's basically ideal, makes them feel empowered.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you technically have a male gaze, because it is a dude painting a woman. Yeah. But the fact that she's
directing that male gaze.
Exactly.
She is pulling that male gaze.
She's like, okay, you want to objectify, you want to look at me? In here.
Yes, I objectify myself. Thank you very much.
I objectify myself. It's a very feminist painting.
Yeah.
It's weirdly enough.
Proto-feminist.
Exactly. But yeah.
Very interesting contrast between the two.
Contrast.
And you can say that the artists in both paintings, the artists are sympathetic towards the sex worker.
They are.
Yeah. Instead, neither of them even in when they're portraying the empowering side or when they're portraying the sad side, neither of them were demeaning.
No.
Neither of them looks down on it as a bad thing. And maybe it goes to most artists are a lot of the artists are in that bohemian vibe, so
lifestyle.
Yeah, so you can say they're part of the tribe. Yeah. So that's why you get it's very interesting to think of what would a bourgeois kind of artist paint, because both of them they were really getting down and dirty, getting involved in the scene, which scandalizing to a lot of people. Scandal, which is very interesting. A lot of upper class, Victorian something. Yeah, they're completely fine with seeing Venus and Aphrodite in all sorts of suggestive poses, and then they see, and you're like, oh no,
they see
that girl is naked, and you're like,
a prostitute her job is to get naked, and you're just like, oh my god, no. Oh God, no. Oh no. Yeah. It's just weird. It's just really weird.
Which quick breach to what Egon Schiele had to go through, because
Schiele
went to trial because they thought his art was pornography.
Child pornography. Yeah. That's what he got him.
Yeah. Which is a very strange. It's the exact same thing, but if you put these titles and labels on it, everyone's fine. Exactly. But if you just
then the second you talk about or make it ambiguous. Yeah. Because obviously Schiele, his problem is because he made it really ambiguous loads of times. He's just saying, oh yeah, she wanted to model for me. But
she lolitaed me.
She lolitaed me. but he never explained his paintings. He never went into details and like.
Yeah, it's not my job to explain.
No, it's not my job. For me, it's just to represent.
Yeah.
So,
if you saw that as pornography, that's your problem.
Exactly, and that's what got him in trouble mainly because there's an ambiguity around it.
Yeah,
it's basically what shocked people. They needed certainty, as in like, is this the Lord's word? If it's not, goodbye. No.
Yeah, which is like. Manet was also never ever apologetic.
Oh no.
About his images.
No.
Yeah, and the Pre-Raphaelites, they also stood by all of their art because they had like.
Yeah, they were quite a rebellious.
They were rebellious because when it first came out, Dickens trashed their work, and when Ruskin, Dickens hated them. Dickens were like openly mocking them. He was shitting all over them. Ooh. He hated them, and then Ruskin came and said, "I like it." And everyone was like, and like the nation was torn. It was like
Ruskin, our boy.
Yeah, there was Team Dickens and Team Ruskin. I was like, oh, what should we do? But yeah, it was so they were these all rebellious artists, which is crazy because if Manet had said, if it wasn't a contemporary scene, if it was like a biblical prostitute.
No, I would have get it.
Yeah, if it was like
what are you trying to say right now?
And I know there's like the whole the Bible is like conflicted on whether this is true or not. But like even when everyone agreed that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute, if he had painted Mary Magdalene, no one would have said anything because it's in the Bible.
Yeah.
But because it's a prostitute, the contemporary prostitute, it hit a bit too close to home for some people.
Absolutely, because it's obviously a reality that a lot of people go through, but nobody wants to admit it.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I find it just great. I find it great just that with just a few tiny details, you can like completely change the mood and completely change the meaning
it's
of
all
a
in
painting.
the symbolism.
Exactly. I find it absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and the little details, like the little expression, the little notes, and how important it's a lot of it's in the eyes, isn't it? In both paintings.
Both of them, they're looking directly at you.
Yeah.
But one is expressing agony, the other one expressing total confidence.
Yeah.
Which
is the power of art.
The power of art.
Of art.
Art. But yeah, so we want to finish on this note.
I reckon that's a good note to finish on the power of
art.
And prostitutes.
And prostitutes. Yeah, and also, I mean, if we can enlighten you guys, it's great. And obviously be a little bit more tolerant towards the prostitution industry.
Yeah, and if it means open your eyes a little bit too. Manet is not what most people think of as. No. When they say Impressionist, Manet is not what springs to mind. When they think of the Pre-Raphaelite, Holman Huns tend to be like the one who holds back a little. And so, you think of the Rossettis, you think of Ophelia, you don't really think of the Holman Hunts of the world.
No.
So, hopefully it enlightens you on
if we broaden your gaze, that is perfect.
Broaden your male gaze.
Broaden your male gaze. So this is our 8th episode.
We've actually managed to keep it consistent.
Yeah.
I've never been this far into a group project before.
Exactly. So we're really proud of what we did.
Yeah.
I hope you guys are proud of what we did. And we hope that Daria is proud of what she did.
Props to Daria. A woman nearly committed herself into Arkham.
Oh my god.
There were so many group therapy sessions. At Tom's.
Thank you so much.
Shout
out to Tom's.
Quick shout out.
Quick shout out. Okay, quick shout out to my awesome friends who have an album out now. It came out on December 6th, and oh my god, like I actually have a little preview of it. I mean, I'm not gonna share it, but I've had a preview of it, and it's absolutely fantastic because the world needs a little bit more Pink Floyd vibes. So if you guys don't know anything about Pink Floyd, or don't know what it feels like, if you guys are into new music, if you guys are curious, if you guys never went into Italian music, this is your chance because my dudes are absolutely awesome and I'm so proud of what they achieved. So please support your local people. Support the independent artist. Absolutely. And we'll probably share all the download links or whatever and anything, but there will be on Spotify, so that's pretty cool.
And us being Anglo-Ruskin students, it's legally contracted that we need to be Pink Floyd friends.
Yeah.
Because that's where they started.
That's where they started.
We're connected to history.
We are. Everybody that trashes about Angela and Ruskin, they should know that without Angela and Ruskin, there would be no Pink Floyd.
Yeah. Every day I have the honor of working in the studio where Pink Floyd played their first gig. Every day I get touched by history. And there's that Sid Barrett plaque right outside Ruskin building.
Exactly. So yeah, please give him loads of thumbs ups. Share, love all their work, cause Lord knows it takes a lot of work to do stuff, to do art, and yeah.
I'm gonna sashay out of the frame.
Sashay out, sashay out, sashay out, sashay out, sashay out, sashay out.
Scene.